So, speaking of the Beguiled and turtles and little girls' turtles and symbolism, I thought that this might actually be a pretty good opportunity to teach you guys how symbols are used quite often in movies and media to represent more unsavory actions taking place. So here's a scene I brought up from the 1971 version of The Beguiled. This is the version with Clint Eastwood. This is the one I saw. They have a more recent version that came out within the last few years with Colin Farrell and Nicole Kidman. And as I explained previously, it's during the Civil War. There's a soldier who abandons his army. He's a Yankee soldier. They're in the South. And he happens upon this school, and this little girl is the first one to find him, wounded out in the woods, starving. And she's the one who helps him and brings him back to her school and gets him set up there, essentially. And she becomes smitten with him. She sort of develops a crush on him and is protective of him in many ways. Has a sort of motherly, nurturing feeling towards him. But also quite clearly has a crush on him as well. And during the course of the movie, he starts making out with and basically putting the moves on a lot of different females in the movie, in the household, in the school. One of the teachers, the headmistress, at least one of the teenage girls, one of the teenage students. And through all of that, this little girl still seemed to think the world of him. But during the course of his parading around acting like an ass, he winds up losing a leg. And he becomes very drunk and very angry at one point and picks up the little girl's turtle and smashes it on the ground and kills the turtle. And at that point, she hates his guts. So here's that scene, her wishing him ill after he smashes her turtle. What is this scene representing to us? What is the symbolism behind this scene? What is the unsavory act that they are trying to show us without actually showing to us? Well, the answer to that is his raping the little girl. Why do I think that? Well, for one thing, turtles are quite often associated with the root chakra. Our root chakra is basically in the area of our genitalia. It's at the root or base of our spine. And one of the animals associated with it is the turtle. I'll show you here also. Animal totems: elephant, turtle, skunk for the root chakra. There we go. And here we can see the turtle is often associated with Aphrodite as well. So I'll show you how it often symbolizes fertility. And Aphrodite, for those of you who aren't aware, she was the Greek goddess of love, passion, sex, and her power was said to come from her girdle. So a lot of her power comes basically from what's lying between her legs. And again, she's associated with the dove, but then also associated with the turtle. Here's one way in which she's associated with the turtle. You can see this is a fairly famous statue of Aphrodite. And you can see, if you pay attention down at the bottom, one of her feet is resting on a turtle. She's typically depicted, let's see if we can Aphrodite. She's typically depicted standing on a shell. Images. There we go. I think this is probably the most well-known depiction of Aphrodite. Seashells are often used to symbolize female genitalia as well. And she's standing on a shell here. And then, of course, again, we see her in this famous statue standing on a turtle. So in this way, turtles are quite often actually representative of genitalia, specifically female genitalia, sex, fertility, sexual acts. Yeah, so that's what I think is going on here. I suppose other people can have other interpretations, but this is just a little lesson to you guys in how creative, intelligent directors and media content creators, how they use symbolism to relay or represent actions and scenes that are a little bit too risque and a little bit too inappropriate to show on the big screen, particularly if you would like your content to reach a wide array, a wide variety of people. And I mean, you know, if they showed in this movie, if they showed him actually, or depicted even, you know, just a little bit of a scene of him actually assaulting this little girl, not a lot of people, it wouldn't have reached the same wide-ranging audience, I think, that it did. It might not have even been allowed in theaters if they showed it, if they showed a scene like that. So again, instead, they showed the soldier getting drunk, becoming very angry, and smashing the little girl's turtle, rather than getting drunk, becoming very angry, and taking his anger and aggression out on the little girl after he'd already been sexually inappropriate with an older student there, and was also getting frisky with the two adult women, the headmistress and the teacher. Then he lost his leg in the process. He blamed the women for it. Felt probably in many ways emasculated and powerless. And that should tell you something about the psychology behind the kinds of men and people who do this to children and little girls. That's often where a lot of the drive to do this comes from for them, is they are angry, they feel powerless for various reasons, and so they will often try to regain a sense of power with sexual assault on someone much weaker than they. So that's why the soldier attacked the youngest, then at his lowest point, attacked the youngest member of this school, and the girl who previously was smitten with him and protective of him and really saved his life. And this is how he returned the favor, really, is, again, what I think is happening in this scene is they are suggesting to people who are in the know, they are suggesting that, you know, he didn't just kill her pet turtle. That is symbolism for he raped her and he took her virginity and maybe a part of her innocence, if you want to look at it that way. It's really a betrayal. He betrayed her. So, which I think that was the lowest level of hell in Dante's Inferno, right? It's for the betrayers. So yeah, I just thought that this would be a good little opportunity to show you guys how things like rape can often be represented in movies and stories without being explicit and without being graphic and detailed. They will use clever symbolism like this. You can also see this there's a story called The Centaur, written by John Updike. It focuses on a centaur who's a teacher, sort of a high school teacher, and he has a son. And it's implied all throughout the story. Again, if you know how to read between the lines, it's implied all throughout the story that this guy, this centaur teacher, Chiron, he's attracted to little boys. Even when Venus, Aphrodite, her character who plays the gym teacher, the girls' gym teacher, she seduces him in the locker room in the story. But as she's leading up to seducing him, she puts out there that her previous lovers would have her perform in little boy type positions. That she would say, like, this guy who I was with, he likes it, as if I'm a little boy, and this guy, he likes it as if I'm a little boy. So what she's doing there is she's laying the groundwork to get Chiron to sleep with her. She's basically saying, like, I know how to do it the way that you like it. Because she's the goddess of love and sexuality. She knows the way Chiron likes it. She knows that he is gay for little boys. So that's why. So I suggest you go read that story. I think it's a pretty well written story. It's basically, most of it takes place inside of a high school setting, and all the teachers there are played by Greek gods. The principal is Zeus. The ladies' gym teacher is Aphrodite. Chiron, I want to say, was he like a history teacher?